Hey everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 198, recorded on Wednesday, September 21st. I'm your handsome host, Tony Schaefer. All right, I exaggerated, but I am still Tony Schaefer. You can find me here at What Drives Us and on priuschat.com, and I am hosting tonight, but that's okay. My training wheels, Mr. Russell Frost, is going to make sure I don't go too far off the rails.
None of that's in the script.
There's a script?
I mean, I'm waiting for my cue. And no, Tony's he's handsome. He's going off the rails. I'm training wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind improvisation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not used to it. Usually Danny's just, yeah. So it's like, Cooper, wake up. So, hey, everybody, my name is Russell Frost. I am Tony's training wheels this week, as he said. You can find me at priusownersgroup.com. Tony, thanks.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to fill in the shoes for Danny. Give him a shot, make sure Russell doesn't have to go alone.
With
Danny,
like cement.
With what?
You're filling them in with cement.
Right, exactly. Filling your shoes with cement, yes. Danny, who we thought was going to be able to jump on for about 15 minutes or so this evening, apparently not going to make it, or maybe he's going to just like pop in and surprise us. But he's at a non-disclosed West Coast state, driving a non-disclosed, not yet released plug-in vehicle that hopefully he'll be able to tell us more about in a future episode. Was that non-disclosed enough?
Completely covered in a blanket.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's crystal clear. I think everyone is watching is scratching their head and going, why did you even bother? Yeah, what was the point of that?
Right.
It's Faraday future.
It's very exactly.
Oh my God.
He's driving the new Faraday autonomous vehicle. Oh.
Just to be clear, Nevada is a West Coast state, right?
There's a big enough earthquake.
Yeah.
It will be eventually, I think. Yeah. All right, so enough crazy banter. We've got a great show lined up. Russell is going to get. Oh no, hold on. I haven't introduced the talking heads here yet.
It's your show, Tony. I just show.
I know. So, yes, he's our man in Boulder, Colorado, and he owns Boulder Hybrids, where he tears down, repairs, rebuilds hybrids and EVs. His name is Paul Guzik.
Hey guys, glad to be back. It's been a nice casual summer, but I guess back to work now.
Finally got sick of playing golf, huh?
Yep. And Tony, what's with the Cubs jersey? Is that for good luck so that they'll actually win something?
Yes, hopefully. Yeah. Have you not been
What's
paying
been
attention?
108 years or something?
I think 113 or something like that. Yes. Hey, they're due. This is our year.
Okay.
Yes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bet lots of money on that.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, well, enough about Cubs being losers. Let's throw it over to Mark. Mark, of course, who's going to remind us that Team Canada beat Team USA in the World Cup of Hockey, no doubt.
Possibly 4-2 last night. That could have happened, and probably did. So
I figured you'd have stood up by now.
Is this what's called gloating?
This may be called gloating or crowing, yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
And as a Canadian, I get to gloat about hockey. That's all there is to it.
Yes.
I get one sport, and this is it.
Which is Mark's nice way of saying we're really only very good at one sport.
Well, that could be said that way, yes.
Well, curling, you guys do good at curling.
Yeah.
That's not a sport. That's a drinking activity, like bowling.
Welcome, everybody. We've got a great show, and hopefully we won't go off the rails too often with our second show back.
Yes.
We're still practicing. We're still getting it.
Right. Episode 198. We're still working out.
There you go.
Kinks. Yeah.
Someday we'll have this shit together,
Keep waiting.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right. So now I'm going to throw it over to Russell. He's got our first article about, go figure, Tesla.
I do? I have an article about Tesla? I do. Inside EVs 3 days ago, I posted this bizarre little, I don't even know what to call it. It's not an article. It's like a little 8-sentence op-ed. But I thought it was funny. And once you get past the kind of arrogantly offensive stuff, it's dead ass true. The point of this is basically in the headline, and it is, quote, "The people with money buy a Tesla." Now, we can argue about Steve Wozniak, whether or not he has money, but that may come later in the show. The point of the article was that the Prius is always, in fact, I think they put it very well. They said the Prius is always punched above its weight class, winning customers who would ordinarily spend much more. Well, now they're spending much, much more, and they're buying Teslas. And I think that's absolutely true. The Prius drew a lot of people who were upper-end car buyers because of the technology, because of its reputation, because of its economy, because of its impact in the environment, or should I say lack of impact in the environment. So it's the Prius had a really rare spot where it wasn't a luxury car, but it got to skim a lot of luxury car customer cream, if you were. Is that not a pretty metaphor?
No,
Not really.
Not really.
Sorry. Okay. Well, anyway, you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying here is that now we have a situation that's kind of interesting. And this is something that we've talked about extensively in the show for the last few years about Prius. As regular viewers and listeners know, a lot of us are heavily involved in Prius in one way or the other. And it's our concern has been that Prius would get leapfrogged by other technology. And by other developments. And I think that's happened. We're looking at a situation where there are vehicles like Tesla and now the Chevy Bolt and the Chevy Volt with a V that, have really taken a lot of the primacy away from the Prius. It's no longer the very best. It's certainly very, very good at what it is. But that's not necessarily what everyone wants.
Well, Toyota needed something to replace the Camry, so.
And that's all. You guys take it and run with it if you have something. I don't think there's a bigger point in that. I thought this was an interesting point in that the Prius did grab customers from above its price, and now they're buying Teslas.
Well,
yeah, it makes sense. It's almost like they're being poached, that this stuff is changing for them. The ground is shifting beneath their feet. And I think you're right, Russell. It's a number of things that are combinating into this problem, that they haven't possibly advanced into the next stage. They've lagged behind with their technology. They haven't gotten pushed forward. And competitors now are starting to nibble at different ends of their customers. And you're right. It is being seen now that Prius sales are starting to slip, and they are going to these other competitors that are out there with these other offerings. That, as you say, some of them the newest technology, some of them different looks or different sizes. But you're right. It is eating into their profit margin for sure.
Well, Go ahead.
Yeah, go. All right. I was going to say we've talked about this for years. We've often predicted the point in which a Prius wouldn't be the halo. There wouldn't be the halo effect anymore, and we predicted that when that time came, or when hybrids, plug-ins, whatever, just became another car. That's sort of when that they've gone mainstream, or they're no longer really niche or something. And yet I think Tesla's doing that. You're taking the the high-end luxury owners, and they're now looking at EVs instead of the new, whatevers.
Well, and it's like the Prius has become a mainstream car now. In 2004, you had a Prius, you were like super cool. You had the latest futuristic, most amazing car, and they were scarce.
You're correct, except for the super cool part.
Yeah. Okay. But it was a phenomenally different car in 2004, and to have one, you really stood out. Now, if you have a Prius, you might as well be driving a Camry. I mean, it's nothing special. But if you drive a Tesla, everybody goes, "Oh, look at that guy! He's driving a Tesla. He's super cool." We can say that because Evan's not here tonight.
Yeah, but, thank God.
Yeah.
And like we've all been saying, Toyota's got to do something to make the Prius sexy again. And the Prius Prime might help, but maybe not enough. We'll have to see.
Yeah. But so I think, kudos to Tesla. They're stealing sales from, the high-end cars. And, again, I hope this means that they're going mainstream. However, we know that Tesla is without fault. Russell has another article about Tesla.
Well, and this is another kind of brief aside, but there was an article in Inside EVs a few days ago about a guy who did a video. He parked a Model X on an incline, and the Falcon wing doors, as they were opening, could have bumped into the front doors because of the angle that the vehicle was on. And I got two things to say about this, and like I said, I don't think it's like this big, huge thing. Number one, I think this is the last time Tesla's going to do something this silly as the Falcon wing doors.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Falcon wing doors are cool, but it's clearly like not ready for what it needs to be. You know what I mean? They've had a lot of problems with these things. And the idea that, some doofus here can park the thing on an incline and get them to wreck another door isn't a good thing. And again, and it's the money that it costs, undoubtedly a lot of money, certainly can't be worth the trouble that they've had with them. It's one of those things that now that they've done it, they're over it, and they don't have to do anything stupid like this again.
Yeah, but it kind of makes me wonder when they will stop making the doors and put in normal doors, and
or maybe the rear doors will slide like a minivan or something to the back of the car.
I'd hate to see a Tesla with a minivan. Oh my God.
Maybe they'll just be like forced.
The Tesla minivan, then it's jumped the shark.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be, I don't know, that would be sort of a huge admission that they made a mistake, that they, went too far, too fast, they weren't ready, it didn't work, and they would have to, it would be seen as a backtrack.
At some point you've got to count your losses and move on too. Like there's got to be a point where they're saying this is too much of an issue after an issue, and I don't think it's there yet. But as Russell has mentioned, they poured a lot of money into this, and they went through a few different suppliers, and they ended up making some of the components themselves because they couldn't get a supplier to make what they wanted to make.
Yeah.
So, there is a question as to whether or not it will work flawlessly, going forward. I even with Musk tweeting, he has indicated that the Model Y could possibly get the Falcon wing doors as well. So
he said that? I totally didn't hear that.
Yeah, it was on a tweet. Someone had asked him if they could get it on the Y, and he had indicated that that's a possibility. So now this was before these issues were happening. This was before the X got rolled out fully. But it's something that they may consider, they may not. If you get a number of issues rolled together, you may change your thinking.
Well, there are some things about the going doors that are particularly really cool. I mean, in particular, the sensor technology, that they won't bump into things. They'll articulate and move and sense how close they are to a wall and whatever, and they'll come up. What they need to do is equip the car with normal opening doors, but put the sensor in those doors so that you couldn't possibly, so they don't open to ding things. So essentially they would be ding-proof doors. You see what I mean? You repurpose the sensor.
Yeah, but how do you deal with the guy who parks next to you and swings open his door?
Oh,
in his 78 Camry.
Well, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about, your door opening up. So,
Yeah, but it's always the other guy who dings your car.
Right. Yeah.
That's when the autonomous part of the car takes over and it drives to an empty part of the parking lot.
Push the car upside down.
Yeah. 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 I don't know, but it's. I think you're right. At some point, they'll have to cut their losses and just move on. Speaking of moving on.
Speaking of.
Yes, I'm going to throw it to Paul because I think Paul has an interesting story. It's not necessarily alt fuel EV plug-in hybrid related.
It kind of has sort of Falcon Wing doors.
Yeah, but it does include Falcon Wing doors.
Yeah. So there was a law came out recently that allows small, low-volume manufacturers to make new old cars up to 300 units a year. So, for example, I've shared a link here. I guess it will be up. In 2017, you'll be able to buy a brand new 2017 1981 DeLorean that will be like a vintage DeLorean, but all new. And what's interesting is the government is allowing all these specialty manufacturers, you'll be able to buy an old Mustang, God forbid, an old Hummer, any kind of car that there's a market for, and the manufacturer can make up to 300 units a year. Thing that's good and bad is they have to meet emissions from when the car originally came out. So a 1981 DeLorean has to be as clean as a 1981 DeLorean minimum, but certainly they could put a more modern power plant in it that would be cleaner, or make it an EV, or who knows. So I guess it's kind of cool for people who like classic cars and can't find an old one, or there's no good old ones left. If you really want a 1988 Camry, you'll be able to buy a new 1988 Camry one day.
No one's going to make a 1980.
Well, yeah. So it's an interesting law. So all the people who are into Shelby Cobras and DeLoreans and Mustangs and Camaros, they'll be able to get new ones. So see what happens there.
Does this mean I might finally be able to get that 76 El Camino I always wanted?
Absolutely.
Maybe.
If there's a market and someone wants to make them,
because there wasn't really much of a market in 76 for the El Camino.
Yeah. But some people might want like a Gremlin or a Pacer. Or,
See, now
not a Pacer,
so that brings up what to me I think is an interesting part, because you mentioned they have to meet
Pinto.
Yeah, you said they have to meet the emissions, but we know that certain laws and regulations and things have changed. For example, seat belts, airbags, anti-lock brakes,
right.
Backup cameras are going to be required on cars. So are they going to be, are they going to be required to equip these cars?
I don't think they need the modern safety features, but if a manufacturer, say, wants to put airbags in the DeLorean, they certainly can, and that would certainly make it more marketable to modern people. So I guess we'll see.
That YouTube video you shared of the 19
the 55 Chevy
Death Trap.
But the alternative is to buy a real 1955 Chevy that's held together with duct tape and rust. That is really scary if you get in a wreck, and at least maybe someone will put a crumple zone in it or better material. So
ABS,
it's kind of neat. ABS, traction control, seat belts.
Yeah.
So there's some really cool cars out there that are in the past that people, like the old Toyota FJ Jeeps. Those, if you find one that's in great shape, is stupid money nowadays. So there is a market for them, and maybe they'll reproduce them.
That would be pretty cool. What I think would be particularly cool would be if, it wouldn't be exactly the same, but you make a DeLorean, but make it a plug-in.
Then they could do that. They could make a DeLorean EV and make it look like a 1981, with a flux capacitor and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd like an EV version of the AMX. Does anyone here even remember that car?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Paul.
Hornet?
Yeah, well, no, the AMX, man, the cool one, not the Hornet.
The cool one.
The AMX was the souped up Hornet.
Yeah. Okay, that's it. I'm off the show.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, we pissed off Russell.
Yeah. God.
And there goes the credits.
Yeah. Roll credits. We're done. He forgot one thing. I'm hosting. And so I'm going to move on without him. Yeah.
You got no choice, Tony.
Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Okay. Can't believe you talk trash about the AMX, man. That's one of the coolest American cars ever made.
Well, that's open to interpretation, I guess.
Okay, fine.
But does it have gull wing doors?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Interesting. Almost every car that's had gull-wing doors, except for the original Mercedes, I think has failed, right, in the market. The Bricklin, the DeLorean.
DeLorean, the Model X.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wonder if there's.
I don't know that gull-wing doors have ever been a good idea. They're cool. You know what I mean? Like,
and the DeLorean with the funky window inside a window that doesn't roll down.
Yeah.
yeah, you can see.
Maybe the new
through
version of the car will improve on that. So.
Yeah. Why does it need to roll down? You can see through it.
Right.
Okay.
That's true. You don't have to pay toll takers anymore. Everything's electronic nowadays. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to do a story here. I found two sources. One, carscoops.com, and the other from Autoblog. And so first, I'm going to share an image that they posted. And so what this is that the Mercedes-Benz at the just this past week at the International Commercial Vehicle Show in Hanover, they revealed what had currently been under wraps here, the urban electric truck, the e-truck, the urban e-truck. Now, that's what it is under wraps. And then if you couldn't guess, this is what it looks like. Well, of course, this is a rendering, but that's what it's expected to look like. Kind of wraps.
Is it going to swerve sideways through the urban streets like that?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the
come down
intent.
the corner, drift around the corners.
Yeah.
Right.
You get more publicity if you run over more people.
It does look badass.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
It does, actually, yeah. Now, the cool thing is that it's the urban part that is the big deal, because this is not a long-haul cruiser.
Right.
This is expected to get 124 miles on one charge. Now, we talk about cars, and we talked about the Bolt getting 234, I think, and, the Tesla pushing 300, and, so 124 doesn't seem like much. However, when you get into urban delivery vehicles, you look at trash collectors, you look at just the trucks that move around, UPS trucks, FedEx trucks. Yeah, I mean, they're running the same route primarily all the time, and it's usually less than 124 miles, and that's what this is meant to address. And let's face it, when you're looking at pollution from diesel vehicles like big trucks, it's particularly bad in urban crowded areas. So you get rid of some of those these big diesel with the 5-inch tailpipes just coughing out black smoke of particulates. Just get rid of those, and you're making a huge dent in urban pollution.
And the noise pollution. I mean, our FedEx guy comes around every day. His truck is so noisy, we can hear him a block away. Go, oh, FedEx is coming.
Yeah,
it's a big noisy diesel. And it's certainly not spewing out good stuff to the environment.
Oh, I was behind a FedEx guy on my drive home, and I just could not get out from behind him because it was single lane. And
you're in a Prius, so he's going to rolling coal on you.
Well, see, and that's the thing. He was unintentionally rolling coal. It was every time he shifted, it was just this huge black
Yeah.
It was horrible, and I could smell it. I didn't get the recirculation fast enough.
Well, and if
Somebody came
you
in.
think about these route drivers, they said they're always under 100 miles a day, and they'd stop and start the engine probably 300 times a day. Every single time they stop, they turn off the car, they run in, deliver a package, come back in, restart up the car. EV, they don't, it just kind of goes into sleep until they come back.
Right.
It'd be a great application. And they all go back to the barn at night, so they can all charge up overnight and be happy the next morning.
Exactly. It's some specs on this. You know, I said 124 miles. It's got 2 motors in it that they say total capacity of 212 kilowatt hours, 3 individual lithium ion modules. And what did we say? 2 motors deliver 250 kilowatt and 737 foot-pound of torque.
Wow.
Now, let's see. One of the articles here said that it weighs slightly more than the regular ones, the diesel ones, but the difference was something like 2,300 pounds. And they said that sounds like a lot, but you have to take into consideration that these diesel trucks will weigh several tons.
Right.
So, you know, adding on one more ton isn't that big of a deal.
Who's counting after?
Right. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. After a while, but so, you know, I always love bringing on stories of things that are new, things that are coming, and like I said, in particular, being in a relatively large, crowded area like Chicago and the Chicagoland area, if we can get some of these diesel trucks out of the urban areas and replace them with clean, clean trucks, that's just a huge step. And I really hope these things come out, and I hope they sell like gangbusters. I would love to see them out and about.
Well, even on a smaller scale, postal trucks, you know, that drive around town, they could all be electric too. I don't know why we're not seeing more electric postal vehicles, because they have a perfect application for EVs.
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't see more of that.
I know they've tested a few here and there, but you know, why doesn't every post office have a fleet of
Congress?
Yeah. Well, they're trying to defund the post office anyway. Yeah. So, you know, but what did Ford have the Sprinter? Was Ford the Sprinter, the E2000 or whatever that was called?
No, there's Nissan has an NE2000 or NV2000.
Yeah.
Which is basically a Leaf minivan type thing for small commercial.
But I do think that Ford had a EV version of their Sprinter.
Oh, they had a Transit EV that it wasn't made by Ford. It was made by a company that went bankrupt, and they all broke. So.
Well, see, I remember the generalities, not the details. Yeah. I'm glad you're on the show, Paul. I'm just making
We've had to fix a couple of them. They're nasty.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. The idea was good, but the engineering was really bad.
Hence the bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Hence, yes, of course. Well, so I want to throw it over now to Russell, who has got a sweet smelling story.
I do? Oh, that's my cue.
That's your cue, the one that smells like.
Michigan utility, Consumers Energy, is announced they're looking at building a statewide EV charging network. And this certainly isn't unusual. And we can debate on the benefits, whether or not it's needed, you know, all of that. But there was an interesting article in Michigan Biz about it. And I thought what was interesting was that one of the vice presidents of ChargePoint is quoted extensively in the article. And ChargePoint kind of has this sort of, how do I say it, sort of passive-aggressive kind of way of saying, well, you know, of course they're welcome to do it, but we think it's really piss-poor idea.
Right.
Which, of course...
they didn't get the contract for the equipment? Or?
Right. Which, of course, is not pointed out anywhere in the article that, you know, ChargePoint's a competitor. ChargePoint already has charging stations in Michigan, and the last thing they want is some bloody utility building stuff. Now, and you know what? Maybe ChargePoint is right. I don't know. I haven't studied Michigan. I don't know the details. But the reason I bring this up is I thought that, when you see these articles, you need to really kind of dig down a little bit deeper, and not necessarily take the CEO or the executive quoted in the first few paragraphs at face value, because obviously ChargePoint they have their own conflict here.
Right.
They're a competitor.
Yeah, ChargePoint had a few choice words when they did not get the exclusive contract for Chicago charging stations. Go figure.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Surprising.
Yeah. I just, and I kind of went back and forth with ChargePoint this last week online about the Bolt. They had said, blah, 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 the Bolt's got this charging network. And I'm like, no, the Bolt doesn't have a charging network. ChargePoint has a charging network that the Bolt can use. And that's awesome. And that's great. And I don't want to take anything away from that. But that's not the same thing as Tesla's supercharger network deployed for their vehicles for free, at least for the current owners, all over the world. So those are two very, very different things. So, you're kind of being disingenuous. And you say the Bolt has its own charging network too. What? Not really. I mean, other than that there's electricity most places. Yeah, you could charge the Bolt. Can I, you know what? Can I drop another random thing in here?
I don't care.
You don't care? Let me see if I can open this. Our friend of the I can't. A friend of the show, Andrew Bell, and a regular viewer, sent this in to me, and I guess this morning, one of our favorite companies posted, and I'm going to quote: "We're celebrating our 1,000 employee milestone. They've hired 1,000 people by highlighting our team on LinkedIn." Oh, God, the worst spam site on the planet. Wait for it. Here it comes. Make sure to follow there to see what drives us. Faraday future.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they're $1 billion in marketing talent. All they can do is hose our show title.
Yeah, or steal it from Mercedes, who stole it from us.
Who stole it from us? Thank you, by the way. Yeah, we predated the Mercedes thing by like 3 years. So, Hey, Faraday, still doing a bang-up job, baby.
Wrong finger.
The best vapor company on the planet.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I just have there's the one inherent joke or dig about the Michigan, EV thing, and as much as I know we're all in favor of EVs and making it easy to charge and putting charging places out there, at some point I just have to say, hey, Michigan, get your shit together with drinking water first, and then let people charge their EVs.
That might be a good place to start.
Yeah.
Try not poisoning your residents, and then worry about charging EVs.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but yeah. So enough of that. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's throw it over to Mark, who I know has some exciting Bolt news following up from last week's Bolt news.
Yeah, we got.
Oh, hang on. What about the one that Volt and Bolt are pronounced the same in Korea?
Yeah, in South Korea.
Yeah. So there's like math confusion on the Chevy model.
Oh my God.
Well, since the Bolt is not
came here for the Volt.
Since the Bolt is not going to be sold in South Korea, they're not going to have a problem.
No, I think they're going to sell it.
Not initially.
Okay.
Maybe in the future. But they fixed that, Paul. They're going to add the English letters EV behind the Bolt, so everyone is clear.
So it'll be Boltiv?
Yeah. Wait, I thought the Volt was an EV.
You and half the reporters out there, Tony. I don't know how many stories I've seen that call the Bolt a Volt and vice versa.
He shoots, he scores.
Just a correction from last week, or an update. We did find out that the new Bolt is going to have a 7.7 kilowatt charger. So It won't be a 3.3 like the current Volt. It's going to be a 7.7. So
okay, good.
That's a good amount.
I'm sorry, Mark,
at 32 amps.
At 30. So can you explain timing differences for somebody who's really stupid like me?
So the timing for the Bolt with a 7.7 32 amp will be about 9 hours from completely dead for those 60 kilowatt batteries.
That's a 240 volt?
Yeah.
26 miles an hour, give or take.
Correct.
Okay.
So you've got like an overnight type thing on an L2. We'll fill it completely from empty.
It's still 2 weeks on a 110.
Not 2 weeks. It's 30 hours.
Okay.
But if your commute's only 50 miles round trip, it's like 2 hours to charge it.
So that's correct. That's correct. So depending on what you're doing with the Bolt, an L2 might be completely legitimate to use it just in that way. You could travel your 200 and some miles in one direction. You could charge up a 9, or you could travel 125 miles in one direction, come back, and in the morning you're ready to do it again.
Right.
Awesome.
Now, there also is, of course, the DC fast charge option that comes with it, and according to their pricing in the United States, it is a option, a $750 option. So we'll get into pricing in just a moment, but I did find a U.S. Energy site that showed the status of DC fast chargers in the U.S. So I'm just going to switch over to that. And
this is the SAE standard, right? Not the CHAdeMO?
That's correct, the SAE standard. And unfortunately, the actual image of the United States is kind of light, but you can see these triangles that show where these fast chargers are located. And of course, there are some large holes in the center of the country. Looks like both coasts are adequately covered, but
there's a bunch in Colorado.
Making a cross from Oregon across the top through Wyoming and South Dakota is just not possible. Like it's not there.
What a surprise, because there's no people there.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is there's like a line from Denver to Boulder in Colorado.
Well, that's because there's a ton of EVs in this market.
Yeah, no coinky dink there.
Yeah. So you've got this, you've got this East Coast, West Coast thing going on. And you also see that cluster around Dallas, Texas. And curiously enough, up in Minnesota, there's a cluster.
Yeah.
So
probably Madison, Wisconsin's another EV hybrid hotbed.
And then there's a little cluster around Tony in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yay.
Interestingly enough, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, and Mississippi seem to be absent.
Russell, we promised we weren't going to be naming states anymore during the show.
But they have lots of Chick-fil-A's there.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So kind of interesting to see what is available out there currently. Certainly, the DC fast chargers are increasing dramatically too. These numbers are being added to. According to that U.S. Energy chart, you're looking at about, I believe it was 11 or 1,200 different units. And a couple of years ago, we were in the low hundreds. So the number has jumped.
It would be really cool if Tesla would have a converter doodad to allow SAE cars or CHAdeMO cars to easily use their stations and pay for it, but open up their network. And I think they'd get some pretty cool brownie points for doing that.
Yeah, and
They've got a great network.
The key is to pay for it. Yeah, it wouldn't be free, if you have to card swipe or make a subscription
debit or something.
Yeah.
But and then people would say, the Tesla that I'm parked beside, he's getting it for free. Maybe I should buy a Tesla next time.
Well, free's a relative term as well.
Right,
They paid for it. It's just that it was rolled into the price of the
Of the car,
$80,000 or $90,000 car.
Yeah, but think about it. The unit is installed, and if there's not a Tesla user charging, it's sitting there not doing anything. And if they could generate revenue off of that, that's
when they could even do
money.
demand-based pricing. If there's no Teslas there, you get it for very cheap. But if there's a bunch of Teslas want to use it and you need it, you got to pay a premium. They're kind of like the Lexus lane toll roads they have.
Can you do
Kind
that?
of like Uber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Surge pricing.
Surge pricing.
Surge pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
When
called
you really need it, you can't afford it.
Right.
it's that surge.
When your
feeling.
EV runs out of power and you're not going to get home, you'll pay anything to charge.
You'll pay anything. Yes.
Yeah.
You're a customer that is in distress, so you will
Yeah.
pay anything. Yes.
Yeah.
Another interesting piece of information that was revealed was the pricing of the Bolt,
Hmm.
and they have come out with pricing in both the United States and Canada, and the U.S. pricing is $37,495 as a base. So the car. That's an LT trim package, and the LT, of course, is the lowest trim package you can get. And that package does not include the DC fast charger. That's an extra $750 to this price.
That's pretty reasonable for that feature.
I would say that's quite reasonable. That's
Yeah.
that's a
Most
price
people would
point that I would say, why on earth would you not get it?
Just
Yes.
to keep the
Even just for the
starting price.
resale of the vehicle down the road, it's worth it.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say.
37.5 for 200 miles is wow. That's
Well, and if people can get the 7,500 federal credit, if that's still available, that's good. And then places like Colorado, there'll be a $5,000 credit. So that's going to bring it down to 25.
25,000.
Yeah.
Wow. That's undercutting
With
even,
Colorado, another reason.
even the base Prius. That's undercutting.
Yep.
And starting in January in Colorado, the state rebate, they'll take it off at the dealer. So you won't even have to apply and wait for it. Like they'll just take it off the
Oh.
invoice.
That is so nice. Yeah.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to go all like cynical on you.
Okay.
So, how much do you want to bet this price stays basically where it's at until Tesla starts shipping Model 3s?
Oh,
And then we-
definitely. There's
and then-
not a question. It will
Right.
not move
Yeah. Until they start to see.
until there's competition.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Because, and if the Model 3 was on the market right now, what's the bet that this would be a $32,000 vehicle?
Right. Well, and by the time the Tesla ships, they'll probably have enough production volumes and lowered their costs on batteries that they'll be able to do that. But right now, they don't have to.
Right.
Yeah, they're going to play the market for what they can, and I don't think any manufacturer would play it any differently. I think that they are going to get what they can get while they can get it.
But you know what? I'm gonna throw in and be cynical to Russell's cynical. I'm not sure what that makes me, but when is the last time a manufacturer has cut $5,000 off the price of a car?
Every year-end model year.
Okay, I know the year-end model, but I'm talking.
Prius plug-in.
What? No, I mean literally. I'm talking model year to model year. They literally base price is $5,000 less.
Chevy
I'm not-
Volt, 2012 to 2013.
Yeah. It happens.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Okay, I simply didn't know.
What I think would be interesting is when the Bolt ships, Nissan Leaf dealers will be like selling crickets. I mean, no one's going to buy a Leaf
Yeah.
unless they drop the price or come out with a competitive battery.
I'm very excited about watching used Leaf prices crater because I think I might be driving a used Leaf in
Yeah,
a
they'll
few
be
months.
they're already pretty cheap for what
Yeah.
you get. And when the Bolt ships, there'll be a shit ton of Leafs on the market because
That's
people
what
are
I'm
going to
thinking.
say,
No
"Hey, I like
doubt.
the Leaf, but it's not quite enough range." The Bolt seems pretty cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Mr. Goshen. You have introduced a really good car and won people over to EVs.
Yep.
Now, double the
We've
range.
been steps.
Right.
We've been leapfrogged.
You've been
Well,
leapfrogged.
Yeah, well, this new, just like any new technology, you have to be actively involved in pushing it forward, or you will be left behind.
Standing still is moving backwards.
Yeah, it's
And-
not going to help you.
Nissan Leaf's going to feel that soon. Toyota Prius has already felt it.
Yeah.
With sales down 26%, yeah, a lot of that's gas, but a lot of it is just, it's a hybrid. I mean, who cares about a hybrid when you've got Volt and Model S and Model X?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not the edge anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Correct.
So that's not saying anything bad about Prius. It's just saying it's old.
And just for the Canadians that are watching the show, if you want to buy a Bolt in Canada, the price is $42,795, and there's a $1,600 delivery charge. But,
Wow.
but you do
But it's Canadian dollars.
it is in Canadian dollars, yes.
So it's the same.
And on top of it, you do get the DC fast charger included in the price.
Oh,
Okay.
So really, if you're looking at, if you do a just a dollar conversion as to what the U.S. dollar is and what the Canadian dollar is, it's a pretty good deal in Canadian dollars.
Yeah. And heated steering wheel.
$1,600 to deliver. That's a
delivery charge.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah. Now, did you
They
say
gotta
last
get
time?
from Michigan to Ontario? That's a really far distance.
Yeah, it's
Right.
like it's an hour by truck and it's $1,600. Yes.
Wow.
talk
But
about
if you
that
live in a
last.
New Vic, it's a good deal.
and they won't accept. I'll pick it up in Detroit myself.
Right.
Right, exactly. Can I just buy an American one and drive it across?
No.
And Tony, you had a question about.
Yeah, it was
Heated
Yeah.
steering wheel.
now I forget. Yeah, the heated steering wheel.
Yes.
Is that a Canadian thing?
That should be standard in
It
Canada.
should
right?
be, and it is actually in the Volt with a V. It is now standard that you get heated seats and a heating steering wheel. It comes in the standard package. Now, they haven't said that for the Bolt yet. I'm waiting for that to possibly happen. I would think that would be a great thing again,
Yeah.
although the price is still good. In Canada, I would say that the heated steering wheel and front heated seats would be a really nice add-on, just like they've done with the Volt. So we'll have to see if that will hold true or not.
Yeah.
And the range sounds even better in Canada.
Yeah, 383 sounds like unbelievable.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And it's funny. It's in kilometers, but it says U.S. EPA range.
Exactly.
It doesn't say like the Canadian.
Not the Canadian standards. No, we
No.
go by the U.S. EPA. Yeah.
All right.
And I don't want to take this too far off topic, but since we're talking about Bolt again, so Mark, did you see the thing with Wozniak?
I did.
And I'm just, do you think this is a net plus for Bolt or a net minus?
Based on the amount of press he got, I'd say it's a plus. Some people are saying that, he's a bit of a flake and he's a flip-flopper and whatever else, but I don't know. I would say that that type of publicity is good regardless.
What's the background on this story?
So Wozniak posted a picture on Facebook of him standing next to a Bolt.
Okay.
And it said, and I quote, "I expect to be switching cars soon," because he currently has a Model S.
Yeah,
and
if you already
And
have
you know
one,
what? You know what, Russell? Did he not come from a Prius? Like he had
yeah.
a Prius before the Tesla.
I mean, he's a very wealthy man. He's probably had a few cars. You know what I mean? And I don't. I like Woz, and he seems like I think he's genuinely a nice guy. But yeah, flaky. I mean, he's really well known for like just kind of like all of a sudden taking these really bizarre positions. He was hating on Apple, a few years ago, and then he got over it, and everything was okay. And I'm just like, I have a hard time wrapping my head around not liking your Model S and wanting a Chevy Bolt. That just seems a little odd to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, the way that it's been explained in the media, possibly that I kind of took it is that Woz is kind of a unassuming guy. He wanted something that was just on electricity. It was not polluting, but the only option, keeping in mind the range that he wanted to have, was the S. That was all the options that were out there. Now, Woz, being a guy that's got some bucks behind him, he can certainly afford it. But it sounded like in the article that he'd be more happy driving his 10-year-old Prius if he could.
And he should. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't. It's weird. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, so it's interesting that again they've indicated that in Canada the car is going to be released in January, and in the United States it is going to be released. They didn't say an actual date. They just keep touting before the end of the year.
And is that nationwide rollout or CARB states?
They say that it's nationwide. Will the carbs get them first? I don't know, but again, if they're saying that Canada is going to get it in January, that's pretty close to release date anyway. So I gotta believe that if you order one, you'll be able to pick it up anywhere.
Now, is that the entire country, or
takes a little
just
longer
the
in Canada,
provinces?
Because they've got
it is all
French. You know.
It is available in all provinces. If you want to buy one, you can get one. Certainly some provinces like mine, Ontario, has a much higher acceptance rate because we've got these rebates that are available. Yeah. Ontario, British Columbia, and Quebec all have rebates. The rest of the provinces currently do not. So certainly the sales are going to follow where it is.
Well, and two-thirds of Canadians live in Ontario, BC, and Quebec. So
yeah, if not half.
Yeah.
Mark, is Chevy sending you a check if you display that webpage a long time? I'm just like, I don't care. I just want to cut. That's all.
I will send you the cut. Yes.
Thank you. Just send me the $1.50. We're all good.
He's going to send you $1.50 Canadian though, which is only like $1.
I'll end up owing him $1.
And that'll be seized at the border.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right, by the customs guy.
Yeah, the Canadian Post. Are you kidding me? Like the second slowest organization on the planet.
I'll see you on the Canadian Border Patrol.
That show. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
I like that show. From
2 episodes ago, right? Yeah.
All those polite people, like.
Although with the Canadian dollar sucking, it is a good time to go to Canada. I was up in Vancouver last month, and everything was 35% off. So
sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sweet.
So, okay, I think we've beaten the volt. I mean, beaten the bolt enough.
Beaten the volt.
Is that a Ramones song?
It soon will be. So we have one last story today, and this is Russell's. And speaking of Woz, but nothing he had anything to do with.
Nothing he had anything. So I've taken no small amount of shit from my panelists, my beloved and esteemed panelists, co-hosts, from some viewers and listeners, because I came out, I was very vociferous, as I often am, and I said, this Apple car is bullshit. There's no way they're going to do it. Bullshit. And then fucking Apple had to go and try to make a fucking car.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to, I ate the pie or the crow or the poop or whatever it is that you eat when you're wrong in a big way, publicly, on your own show. And now the bastards look like they're going to shut the damn program down. Stephen Edelstein at Green Car Reports last week wrote a story, and it's really kind of navel-gazing. I mean, it's not, Apple doesn't put press releases out, but as it turns out, it looks like they laid off a bunch of people connected to Project Titan, which is the the Apple Car program. Excuse me.
Yeah.
That's ranting is hard work. So it looks like, and I think Apple may have just finally hit the wall, realizing how freakishly difficult it is to actually design and build a car from the ground up and bring it to market. It's not an easy task. As experienced car companies who've been in the business for more than a century prove every year by doing a crappy job of it. So anyway, this article talks about that. It also talks about how Google's autonomous car is kind of like out in the middle of nowhere. No one really cares about it. In other words, this whole Silicon Valley taking over the car business and Apple and Google going to rule the world and it kind of doesn't look like it's going to happen now.
Maybe they're just saying this to mess you up and they're secretly going gangbusters on it.
I know that right now Tim Cook's going, how can we make Russell look like a big asshole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Twice.
I
How's
know
that
that.
possible?
He's on the phone to Johnny Ive. He's like, he's been talking shit about us on Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Here's how we fuck him hard. Okay.
Yeah.
We lay off like 3 dozen people, maybe lay off 100. We're gonna close one of the Titan design centers. We're just gonna really lay low for a while because the cars ain't going.
You can never know with Apple. They're sneaky guys.
They are.
Yes.
They are. And the same with Google, and they both have so
You know
much
what?
money.
They hired Woz to run the Titan division, and he's secretly working for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And he's going to come out and say, "I had a Bolt, but you know what? The Apple car kicks ass."
Yes.
Right. And it looks like a minivan.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's all. I just like, I'm right, I'm wrong, I'm wrong, I'm right, I'm right, I'm wrong. The one thing you could be sure of, viewers and listeners to the show, is I will cop to the reality of what it is. And right now, I'm looking a little bit better than I was a month ago. That's all I'm saying.
We could throw you a party if you want.
Nah.
Well, Russell, let me just throw something on you right now. Is that Apple is speaking apparently with McLaren.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That story came out in the Financial Times about 9 hours ago.
Right.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And they've been dealing with McLaren now for 7 months, seeing if they can post together a deal.
But what is McLaren going to do for them?
No. Well,
Well, they're going to have a charge port for your iPhone.
They're going to build this. Yeah, they're going to build the stupid.
That's the collaboration.
They're going to build the Faraday Future prototype.
Well,
That's what McLaren's going to do for them.
McLaren could do that, but also McLaren does have the engineering prowess to fire up something quickly.
Yeah.
A mass-produced consumer vehicle.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
Not maybe not maybe a mass-produced consumer vehicle, but that's
300
what
units. That
is
like
what Apple
81
wants.
DeLorean.
They can use the underpinnings of what McLaren has.
So this is like a fallback from the BMW deal. Like, okay, so if we can't put our technology in BMW hulks, maybe McLaren. Okay, sure. I mean,
yeah, I forgot the article. I read the article. I skimmed it, and there was talk. McLaren does have, like Mark said, a lot of prowess in building things, rapid prototyping, carbon fiber, aluminum, and that type of fabrication that Apple might be looking for. That was it. And even talk of, Mark, am I correct in purchasing the McLaren F1 team, the Formula One racing team?
Yeah, buy the whole thing. Let's face it, Apple has, $400 billion sitting in loose change in their couch.
Yeah.
So
The Chesterfield.
they can. Yes,
exactly.
Good one, Paul. They have the ability to pick up whatever they want. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Same with Google. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Google wanted to buy BMW tomorrow and say, build us an autonomous car, you German bastards, they could.
So does that mean, would there be I'm just curious because I'm now picturing an all white, Formula One race car with the off-white Apple logo on the front and like the Apple Formula One team. That would be it.
Yep, that's
a
great,
Bluetooth communicators in your ears.
a great advertising market for them to be involved.
There's
with.
no
Sure,
place
why
to
not?
plug their headphones in. That's why they got Bluetooth.
Yeah, exactly. That would be interesting. That might shake a few things up.
So much for my pathetic attempt to rehabilitate my image as a prognosticator on this show.
All you can say, Russell, is that you never know what Apple's going to do. Who knows?
True.
It's all over the board.
Yeah.
True dat, my man. True dat.
All right. So if we beaten these horses, I think time for some shout outs and cut out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Paul, I'll let you go first. You have any shout outs you want to give?
Okay, well, shout out to the great state of Colorado with their EV rebates. Rebates. The bad news is if you're buying a used EV in Colorado, the rebates stop at the end of this calendar year. So you've got like 3 and a bit months to buy a used EV. So if you're thinking about it and you live in Colorado, go pull the trigger. As long as it's never been registered in Colorado, you can get lots of free money from the state. And then in January, a new program starts where you'll get, if you buy a new EV, such as the Bolt, they'll take the rebate off right in the dealership. So
Wow.
pretty cool. Then I'm going to plug my business, Boulder Hybrids. If any of you in listener land can drive to Boulder, we can fix your hybrid and your EV.
Doesn't
And,
that kind of contradict
our
the
website is,
themselves?
how's that?
Sorry, that if you can drive there, does it really need?
Oh,
to
well,
be
you can
fixed
tow it
under-
with AAA, So,
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
if you can say Heimlich, do you need the Heimlich?
That's right. That's what comes.
That's like,
And our website is, let me finish.
All right, go on.
BoulderHC.com is our website. And
Yes.
come visit us if you're in the area.
So HC for Boulder Hybrid Conversions. Is that right?
Well, we changed it. It's now Boulder Hybrid Cars. Because
Hybrid cars. Okay.
we still do conversions, but since you can buy a used Leaf here for like $8,000, not many people are converting Priuses to plug in these days.
yeah.
Okay. Boulder Hybrid Cars.
Yep.
BoulderHC.com. Awesome. Mark?
I just wanted to say thank you to the groups that came out and joined us at the National Drive Electric Week last week here in Waterloo. And if you just flash a few pictures of the event. We had Plug and Share come out and bring a Chevy Volt and a i3 to allow people to test drive and get their first taste of driving an electric car. And as you can see, we picked the only rain day in the entire week. So it was lucky for us that there was a rain day that we could pick. And
well, that's how you get lots of attendance.
That's right. That's right. We had actual group of us out, and we had the University of Waterloo show up, and they brought in their trailer a conversion, a Porsche 1975 914 that has been converted to electric drive.
With lead acid.
I was going to say, too bad it's lead acid. But
Yeah, it's quite the car that they put together, and we appreciate that they came out and joined us. So thanks to everyone that came out and joined us. It was a great event.
That's
Cool.
totally awesome.
Great. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. So, Russell, do you have any shout outs that you want to give?
Yeah. Once again, if you're anywhere near Colorado, go see Paul, boulderhc.com. My thanks to Andrew Bell for his little message and the Faraday Future thing, and a big, you're number one, Faraday Future. Thank you. Thank you for stealing the name of my show. You assholes. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not like their marketing people get paid a lot of money to think stuff up that's original, right?
Yeah.
And as always, if you like my sort of rather inflammatory style of commentary, you can visit me at the PriusOwnersGroup.com. There's all kinds of interesting things going on there. So that's me, and that's where I'm at. I should also mention that if you own a Prius and you need accessories or fun stuff for your car, be sure to visit the Prius shop for all your accessory needs. You can find it at priuschat.com/shop. That's priuschat.com/shop. Every item sold at the Prius shop has been inspected and tested by Prius owners. Yes, they medically test on mammals. That's what Prius Chat Shop is all about.
I can't believe you're actually telling people that.
I am. They do animal testing at the Prius Chat Shop. That's priuschat.com/shop. All those offspring of Danny's do need every penny. Please give now. Give everything you can.
Oh, and as usual, there are two ways you can look over our virtual shoulder and see what we're reading. Of course, we have our Facebook page at facebook.com/whatdrivesus. Leave us comments, suggest news items, just like the page. If you like what we're doing here with the podcast, give us a like on Facebook. Also, if you use Flipboard as a news aggregator, be sure to subscribe to the What Drives Us magazine. Just open up Flipboard and do a search for What Drives Us.
Also, be sure to visit us at our main site, whatdrives.us. We post every show in audio and video form for streaming or downloading. Also, at whatdrives.us, we've started posting articles and reviews from the experts you see right here, these people right here. Want to learn how to drive more efficiently? Tony is still writing the definitive series on it. He'll never be done with that damn thing.
No, never.
Our complete archives and more at whatdrives.us.
And of course, make sure that you never miss a show by subscribing on Stitcher, Slacker, YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes, or perhaps go ahead and subscribe to them all.
I'd like to thank, on behalf of Tony and myself, I'd like to thank the panel for being on the show. I'd like to thank all of our listeners for spending some time with us this week. And as always, my good friend Michael Mannering for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com or watch some of his amazing videos on YouTube.
So that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for spending the time with us. That's all we have this week. Make sure you tune in next week or download to find out what drives us.
I wouldn't call that a mistake, but you did change the formula there.
I did.
You did. See you next week.